Simon, you really want to go on another blind date? Jordan raised an eyebrow as he tossed Simon a bottle of water. They sat on the edge of a dusty construction site, their clothes stained with cement and sweat. Yeah. One more, Simon said, wiping his forehead with the back of his hand. Who knows? Maybe the 1000th one will be different. You said that at number 47. And then again at 156. Man, you're stubborn, Jordan chuckled, shaking his head. Remind me again why you're pretending to be broke when you own like 10 skyscrapers. Simon smiled faintly, his eyes watching the sunset over the city. The golden light reflected off his calloused hands that now held tools instead of company reports. Because I want someone who chooses me. Not my money. Not my title. Me. Jordan groaned. Well, you've had 999 rejections so far. Rich girls, poor girls, even that pastor's daughter. All of them ran off the second they heard, bankrupt construction worker. Exactly. That's the test, Simon said. They weren't the one. Jordan stood up, brushing dust off his pants. You're a madman. Fine. Who's the lucky girl tonight? Simon checked his phone. Melissa Carter. A girl from Green Willow Village. Her aunt arranged it. Green Willow. That's way out in the countryside. Man, if this one runs too, I'm buying you a dog instead. Simon laughed softly. Let's hope I don't end up alone with a dog. Later that night, Simon sat at a tiny outdoor cafe in a quiet part of town. The street was quiet, and the lights flickered gently above. He wore his usual outfit, faded jeans, a worn-out jacket, and old work boots. No watch, no designer suit, no chauffeur, just plain Simon. He had waited 20 minutes when a girl walked in, looking a little lost. She wore a simple green dress and held a paper map in her hand. Excuse me. Are you Simon? She asked softly. Simon stood up and smiled. Yes. And you must be Melissa. She nodded shyly. Sorry I'm late. The bus broke down and I had to walk 2 streets. I almost turned back. I'm glad you didn't, Simon said, pulling out a chair for her. Would you like something to drink? Melissa looked at the menu. Just water, please. I don't want to waste your money. That sentence made Simon pause. Most girls ordered the most expensive drinks. But Melissa, she asked for water. Interesting. You're from Green Willow? He asked as they sat. Yes, she said. I help my aunt sell vegetables. I'm not fancy, but I try my best. Simon smiled. She was honest. That was rare. They talked for over an hour. She told him about her dreams, her struggles, and how her mother died when she was young. Simon didn't say much about himself, just that he was a construction worker trying to get back on his feet after a failed business. That's brave, Melissa said. Most people give up when they fail. But you didn't. I like that. Simon blinked. He had heard all kinds of insults on his past blind dates. Lazy, useless, broke, unattractive. But this girl, she called him brave. You're different, he said. Maybe. Or maybe I just don't care about money the way others do, Melissa replied, smiling. Money is nice. But it doesn't hug you when you're sad. Simon's heart skipped a beat. When the evening ended, Simon offered to walk her to the bus stop. As they walked, Melissa noticed his hands. Your hands are rough. You work hard, don't you? Simon nodded. Every day. My dad's hands were like that. He was a farmer. He passed when I was 10. They reached the bus stop. Melissa turned to him. I had a nice time. Thank you for not pretending to be something you're not. Simon almost laughed. If only she knew. Thank you too. For not running away. She gave a light laugh. Why would I? You seem like a kind man. The bus came. Melissa stepped in, waved, and disappeared. Simon stood there for a long time, staring at the empty road. For the first time in months, he felt something real. The next day, Jordan found Simon whistling while lifting bricks. Whoa! What's with the good mood? She didn't run. Simon grinned. She stayed. She listened. And she didn't care about the money I don't have. So, she passed the test. Maybe. But I'm not done yet, Simon said. If she really is the one, I want to build a life with her. Even if it's slow. Jordan smirked. So this is it. Blind date number 1000. And she said yes. Simon looked up at the sky and smiled. Yes. And maybe, just maybe, this is the beginning of something beautiful. Simon, where were you yesterday? You were smiling in your sleep. Jordan teased as they worked at the construction site the next morning. Simon wiped sweat from his face and laughed. I think I met someone real. Real, huh? You said that about the one who stole your wallet, too. This one is different, Jordan, Simon said quietly. She's not chasing money. She didn't ask what car I drive. She asked about my hands. Jordan's smile faded. He saw the serious look in Simon's eyes. You're falling, aren't you? Simon nodded. I want to see her again. In Greenwillow, Melissa sat on her small bed in her aunt's house, holding a photo of her late mother. Mom, she whispered, I think I met someone kind. He doesn't have much, but his heart feels full. Melissa's aunt, Aunt Nora, walked in. You're thinking about that boy, aren't you? His name is Simon, Melissa said softly. Aunt Nora raised an eyebrow. Didn't I tell you these blind dates never go well? But this one felt right. Aunt Nora sighed. Well, if he truly cares, he'll come back for you. But remember, Melissa, poor men with dreams can sometimes break hearts without meaning to. Melissa nodded slowly. But deep inside, she hoped Simon would prove everyone wrong. 3 days later, Simon showed up in Greenwillow. He walked carefully down the dusty road, holding a small bouquet of wildflowers he picked himself. His boots kicked up dust and he felt nervous, something he hadn't felt in years. He stopped in front of Aunt Nora's house and knocked. Aunt Nora answered, eyeing him from head to toe. Can I help you? I'm Simon. I came to see Melissa, he said, holding out the flowers awkwardly. Melissa rushed out from behind the curtain, eyes wide. Simon, you came. I told you I would, he said with a shy smile. Aunt Nora crossed her arms. You don't look like much, son. What do you want with my niece? Simon looked her straight in the eyes. A chance. To know her. To build something real. I may not have money, but I have honesty and hard work. Aunt Nora blinked. For once she had no reply. Melissa and Simon walked to the local stream, the air filled with birdsong and the soft rush of water. They sat on a rock, watching the water pass. Why do you really want to date someone like me? Melissa asked, her voice almost a whisper. Because you didn't laugh at me, Simon said. Because you didn't walk away. And because when I talk to you, I don't feel like I have to pretend. Melissa smiled. Then promise me something. Anything. Don't lie to me. Even if the truth hurts. Simon looked down at the water. For a moment he said nothing. I promise. But deep down his stomach twisted. Because he had already lied. Weeks passed. Simon started visiting Greenwillow every weekend. He helped Aunt Nora fix broken chairs, carried baskets of vegetables to the market, and learned how to use a hoe. People in the village started to notice. Melissa's new man is hardworking. Not like those lazy boys who only want to drink and brag. Melissa and Simon often sat under the mango tree after work. They would talk about dreams. She dreamed of working in a big city. He dreamed of living a simple life with someone who truly loved him. They were different, but their hearts beat the same. One afternoon, while painting Aunt Nora's fence, Simon looked at Melissa. His shirt splashed with white paint. Melissa, if I asked you to marry me one day, would you laugh? Melissa dropped her brush in surprise. Marry you? Simon's face turned red. I mean, not now. One day. When I've saved enough. When I can build you a good home. Melissa stared at him. You really think that far ahead? Simon nodded. You deserve a forever kind of love. And I want to be that for you. Melissa bit her lip. She had never felt this way before. Not once in her whole life. Then I'll wait, she whispered. But you better not break that promise. Simon returned to the city with a new fire in his heart. But he also knew it was time to make choices. At the Sterling Industries office, his true empire, he met with his assistant, Claire. Should I tell her who I am? He asked. Claire frowned. Not yet. She's falling in love with poor Simon. That's the one she chose. Simon stared out the tall glass window, watching cars zoom by below. I want to keep testing this love, he said. But the longer I wait, the harder it will be. One evening, he invited Melissa to visit the city for the weekend. He picked her up in an old borrowed car and took her to a cozy apartment. Not too rich-looking but not shabby either. This is where you live? Melissa asked, stepping inside. Yes, Simon said quickly. I got a good deal. It's small but clean. Melissa looked around, her eyes scanning the marble floor, the shiny cabinets, and the city view. Simon, are you sure this place is cheap? She asked slowly. Simon paused. Yes. I'm just good at finding deals. Melissa nodded, but her heart felt a little heavy. Something didn't add up. She didn't speak of it again. But the seed of doubt was planted. Later that night, as Simon made her tea, Melissa whispered to herself, Please, don't be lying to me. In another part of the city, Nathan, the ambitious fiancé of her estranged sister, stared at his laptop, reviewing files. His eyes landed on one name. Simon Grant, CEO, Sterling Industries. He smirked. Simon Grant. I think it's time we meet. You've changed, Melissa said as she folded her clothes into a small drawer in Simon's city apartment. Simon looked up from the small electric stove where he was boiling water for noodles. Changed how? He shrugged. You seem careful now. Like you're hiding something. Simon smiled gently. I'm just nervous. You're the first person I've ever brought here. That means something. Melissa nodded slowly, but she couldn't shake the feeling. The apartment was too clean, too fancy for a broke construction worker. There were imported teas in the cupboard. A designer belt hung behind the door. She kept quiet. But her heart whispered, he's not telling you everything. Days turned into weeks. Melissa began spending more time in the city, even helping Simon find side jobs. She offered to clean offices and carry small boxes at a packaging company. You don't have to work so hard, Simon told her one day. Yes, I do, she said. I want to help us grow. Together. Her words touched him. But each day, Simon felt guilt eat at him. He watched her carry heavy loads, take night buses back to Greenwillow, and live simply, all for him. But he wasn't really broke. He was the billionaire behind Sterling Industries. And soon, the lie would crash like a falling tower. One morning, Simon received an unexpected call. This is Nathan from Vital Vista Group, the voice on the phone said. I'd like to meet you. I have a business offer. Simon's jaw tightened. He recognized the name. Vital Vista. His biggest rival. And Nathan was the fiancé of Melissa's sister. Send the time and place, Simon said, then hung up. Later that day, he met Nathan at a downtown restaurant. Nathan wore a sharp blue suit and shiny shoes. His smile was fake and full of pride. You're Simon Grant, Nathan said, taking a sip of his wine. CEO of Sterling Industries. Disguised as a broke man. That's bold. Simon said nothing. Don't worry, Nathan continued. Your secret is safe with me. For now. He leaned in. But I want something in return. Simon raised an eyebrow. My promotion is coming up. If you play along, I'll make sure no one discovers your little game. If not. Nathan smiled like a snake. I have pictures, records, everything. Simon remained calm. I don't play games, Nathan. But I protect what's mine. Melissa is mine. And you will not use her to get ahead. Nathan laughed. We'll see about that. Later that evening, Melissa was sweeping the front porch of the apartment when her phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. Your husband is not who he says he is. Search the name. Simon Grant. Sterling Industries. She stared at the screen, her heart racing. But instead of searching, she dropped the phone on the table and walked inside. She looked at Simon, who was reading a newspaper. Can I ask you something? Of course. Have you ever lied to me? Simon looked at her. His eyes softened. He thought of the hundreds of times he wanted to confess. Yes, he said quietly. But never because I wanted to hurt you. Melissa turned away. Then why? Why pretend to be something you're not? Simon stood up. Because I've been used too many times. Women wanted my money, my title, my car. But you saw a man with nothing and still said yes. Tears welled in Melissa's eyes. But I didn't say yes to a lie. I know, Simon whispered. That's why I'm afraid to lose you. Just then Melissa's phone buzzed again. This time it was a picture of Simon in a boardroom, dressed in a sleek black suit. Beside the logo, Sterling Industries. Her fingers trembled. Her heart dropped. The lie was no longer a shadow. It stood in the open. That weekend, Melissa returned to Greenwillow without telling Simon. She sat on her bed and cried into her mother's old scarf. Aunt Nora entered the room quietly. You found out, didn't you? Melissa nodded. He's rich. And he lied. But did he treat you badly? And Nora asked. Did he ever hurt you, shout at you, or make you feel small? Melissa shook her head. Then maybe he lied. But he also loved. Melissa didn't know what to believe anymore. Back in the city, Simon felt broken. She hadn't called in 2 days. Her things were gone. No notes, no message. Jordan entered the apartment holding a newspaper. Look at this, he said, placing it on the table. The headline read, Vital Vista's rising star Nathan exposes Sterling's CO love scandal. Simon crumpled the paper in anger. Nathan had gone public. Now the whole world knew. And Melissa, she probably hated him. Far away, at a 5-star hotel, Rebecca Carter, the rich sister, was trying on her wedding dress. Melissa will be serving drinks at my wedding, she said, laughing cruelly. While I marry into power. Nathan fixed his tie and smiled wickedly. Don't worry. By the end of the wedding, Melissa and her fake husband will be nothing but a joke. But what they didn't know was, Simon had just reserved a seat at their banquet. And he wasn't coming as a poor man. He was coming as Mr. Frost, the real face behind the mask. This is going to be the most beautiful wedding in the city, Rebecca Carter said proudly, turning around in her white diamond-studded gown. She stood in front of a full-length mirror inside the Royal Crest Hotel, a luxury building reserved for only the richest people. The ballroom was covered in white roses and gold curtains. Waiters moved quickly to place wine glasses and plates. Nathan, make sure the wine is top shelf. I don't want cheap drinks like the ones Melissa probably pours in her street bar. Nathan smirked. Relax. Everything is perfect. Besides, Melissa should feel lucky we even allowed her here. Imagine her, a server at her own sister's wedding. Rebecca laughed cruelly. I can't wait to see her face when I ask her to pour me a drink in front of everyone. Meanwhile, Melissa stood in the back of the ballroom, wearing a plain black waitress dress. Her hair was pulled back, and her hands trembled as she balanced a tray. She had agreed to work part-time at the wedding to help Aunt Nora pay for medicine. She didn't know it was Rebecca's wedding, until she walked into the hall. Now, she stood quietly as her sister's laughter echoed across the room. A fellow waiter whispered to her, Isn't that your sister? Melissa nodded sadly. Yes. But she doesn't think I'm good enough to be her guest. You're better than this, the waiter replied. Don't let their pride make you forget who you are. Melissa gave a small, tired smile. But her heart was heavy. The wedding began. Rebecca walked down the golden carpet with her father, holding her chin high like a queen. Guests clapped and stared in awe at her expensive dress. When the party moved to the reception, the hall turned into a festival of noise and brightness. That was when Rebecca spotted her chance. She called loudly, "Excuse me, everyone. I want to make a toast." The room went quiet. "Before I thank you all for coming," Rebecca said, turning slowly, "I would love my dear sister Melissa to pour the wine. After all, she's such a natural at serving." A few guests laughed. Melissa froze in place. Her hands shook as she walked toward the center of the room with the wine bottle. Her eyes burned, but she refused to cry. As she reached the table, Rebecca leaned close and whispered, "You should have married someone rich, instead of that beggar husband of yours." That was it. The moment. Pain. The final cut. But just then the ballroom doors opened. The music stopped. Everyone turned. A man in a black suit with silver cufflinks walked in slowly. His steps were calm. His face, cold but elegant. Melissa dropped the wine bottle. "Simon," she gasped. But he didn't look like her Simon. This man was powerful. Dressed like someone important. Someone feared. Rebecca's eyes widened. "Who's that?" Nathan narrowed his eyes. That's Simon. Melissa's poor husband." "No," whispered a rich guest at the back. "That's Mr. Frost. The man who bought 3 banks last month." The crowd began to murmur. "Isn't he the CEO of Sterling Industries? The youngest billionaire in the city?" Rebecca's jaw dropped. Nathan suddenly looked like he had swallowed hot coal. Simon walked straight to Melissa, removed his jacket, and placed it over her shoulders. Then he turned to the guests. "Good evening," he said calmly. "I didn't come to ruin a wedding. But I will not stand by while the woman I love is humiliated." Gasps filled the room. Rebecca stuttered. Wait. You're not poor." Simon turned slowly to her. His eyes were cold. "I let the world believe I was. Because I was tired of being loved for my money. Melissa loved me when I had nothing. That makes her richer than you'll ever be." The hall went silent. Nathan stepped forward trying to smile. "Mr. Grant, this is all just." Simon cut him off. "Don't. I know about your threats, your fake messages, your secret deal to use Melissa to get promoted." Nathan's face turned pale. Rebecca screamed. "This is a setup. You're trying to embarrass me on my day." Simon ignored her. He looked only at Melissa. "You left because you thought I lied. And I did. But I didn't lie about my heart. You are the one I love. With or without money." Melissa's lips quivered. "I don't know what to believe anymore." Simon reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. "Believe in this." Inside was a ring. Simple, silver, and glowing in the lights. "Marry me again. This time with the truth." Tears rolled down Melissa's face. But before she could answer, Rebecca grabbed a wine glass and threw it. "No. You won't take the spotlight from me." The glass smashed on the floor. Security rushed in and held her back. Guests began to leave. Some whispered. Some laughed. Nathan pulled Rebecca away, furious. "You ruined everything." Simon held Melissa close as the ballroom emptied. "I'm sorry," he whispered, "for all the lies. But I'm ready now. To give you everything I have." Melissa nodded slowly. "Then you have to earn my trust back. No more games, Simon." "No more games," he promised. Outside the hotel, as Simon and Melissa walked to his car, a woman stood in the shadows watching them. She was dressed in a black coat, her eyes filled with hate. It was Rebecca. And her rage was only beginning. The next morning, Melissa sat in silence on the balcony of Simon's apartment. She sipped warm tea, watching the early morning sky. Her heart was still heavy. Simon stepped out quietly. "Did you sleep well?" Melissa didn't answer at first. Then she said, "You embarrassed Rebecca in front of everyone." "She embarrassed you first," Simon replied. "That doesn't make it right." He nodded slowly. "You're right. I'm just tired of people hurting you. I wanted them to see who they were messing with." Melissa sighed. I just want peace, Simon. I don't want to fight your battles. Or wear your wealth like a shield. Simon sat beside her. Then let me protect you in silence. Later that day, Simon received a message from one of his legal assistants. Wellspark is ready for launch. Your name will remain hidden as you requested. The staff will only know it's under Sterling's protection. Simon smiled. Good. Make Melissa the first hire. Position: creative assistant. No special favors. Let her rise on her own. He ended the call. 1 week later, Melissa stood outside the Wellspark Company building holding a brown envelope. She had applied without knowing Simon owned it. She thought it was a fresh start. As she entered, she felt nervous. But the staff welcomed her kindly. She was assigned a small desk, a kind supervisor, and a new life. She worked hard, early mornings, late evenings, and even weekends. Her designs were sharp, her ideas fresh. People liked her. Except one. Well, look who's here, came a familiar voice behind her. Melissa turned. It was Rebecca, in a tight suit and high heels. They let you in here too. Must be hiring everyone these days. Melissa kept her head high. I got in on merit. Rebecca laughed. Please. You're still just a village girl pretending to fit in. Melissa walked away. But Rebecca wasn't done. In the weeks that followed, Rebecca made sure Melissa's job became harder. She messed up reports, spread false rumors, and even got Nathan, now working in a senior position at Vital Vista, to help. Together, they created a fake email chain making it look like Melissa stole ideas from another company. At the next big company meeting, Nathan stood up in front of everyone and held up printed papers. Ladies and gentlemen, he began, Wellspark has been compromised. We have evidence that this employee, Melissa Carter, has stolen client pitches and shared them with competitors. Gasps filled the room. Melissa stood frozen. This is false, she shouted. I never did this. Rebecca stood and crossed her arms smugly. We knew something was off the moment she joined. She doesn't belong here. Tears burned in Melissa's eyes. Her dream job destroyed in front of everyone. Just as Nathan was about to announce her firing, the glass doors swung open. Everyone turned. A tall man in a navy blue suit entered. That's enough, his deep voice echoed. Simon walked straight to the front. Nathan froze. Why are you here? Simon turned to the staff. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Simon Grant, also known as Mr. Frost, the silent owner of Wellspark. The room went silent. Melissa Carter is not just my wife, he said. She is one of the best minds in this company. She earned her place here. From the bottom. Without special help. He threw the fake reports onto the table. These documents are lies. Forged by Nathan and Rebecca to destroy her reputation. Security officers stepped in. Mr. Grant, should we remove them? Simon nodded. Fire them both. And blacklist them from every Sterling and Wellspark branch. Forever. Rebecca screamed, grabbing Nathan's arm. You promised me we'd win. I did everything for us. Nathan yelled back. Now we have nothing. Simon looked at them both. His voice calm but strong. You chose greed over family. Now you will face the consequences. They were dragged out of the meeting room. After the meeting, Melissa stood quietly by the window. Simon walked to her. I'm sorry. I should have stopped them sooner. Melissa turned to him. You owned the company the whole time. He nodded. But I let you grow on your own. I never interfered. She didn't say anything. Just stared out the glass. Simon reached for her hand. I never meant to hurt you. I just wanted to protect you. But maybe my silence became another lie. Melissa whispered. You should have trusted me with the truth. He nodded. You're right. That night, back at the apartment, Melissa felt sick. She sat on the bed, holding her stomach. Simon rushed to her. What's wrong? Talk to me. She winced. Pain, sharp pain. Something's wrong. He lifted her gently and drove straight to the hospital. Doctors rushed her into a room. After an hour, one came out. She's pregnant. But she's at risk of miscarriage due to stress. Simon's heart stopped. Pregnant. He sat beside her bed and held her hand tightly. You're carrying our baby, he whispered. I won't let anything happen to you. To either of you. The next morning, Grandma Judy stormed into the hospital, her cane tapping angrily on the floor. Simon Grant, she barked. He jumped to his feet. Grandma. She smacked his arm with her cane. You almost lost your wife and child because you kept secrets. What did I always tell you? Simon lowered his head. That love without truth is a house with no roof. Grandma Judy looked at Melissa, who was awake now and watching quietly. She walked to her, held her hand and said softly, He's a fool, but a fool who loves you with all his heart. Melissa smiled faintly. He's got a lot to fix, she whispered. Then we'll make him earn it, Grandma said with a wink. Outside the hospital room, Simon stood and whispered to himself, I promise, I will earn their love. The right way. But in the shadows, Rebecca watched from a hospital hallway, her face bruised with rage. She was not done yet. Not by far. Simon sat beside Melissa's hospital bed, watching her sleep. Her face looked pale but peaceful now. The beeping machines nearby reminded him of how close he had come to losing her, and their unborn baby. He reached for her hand gently. I'll fix everything, he whispered. No more lies. No more secrets. 3 weeks later, Melissa returned to work at Wellspark, but on lighter duties. Everyone in the office now treated her with more respect. She had survived a scandal, a setup and betrayal. But still she smiled. Still she worked hard. The company placed her in the strategy team, away from stressful meetings and away from Rebecca and Nathan. Or so she thought. One afternoon, she saw an envelope on her desk. Inside was a photo. It showed her in the hospital bed, with Simon beside her, holding her hand. Written in bold red marker across the photo. You don't deserve that baby. Melissa gasped, her fingers trembling. Who would do this? Meanwhile, Rebecca and Nathan sat in a dark hotel room, surrounded by empty boxes and scattered clothes. They were both jobless, homeless, hated. I warned you, Nathan shouted. You and your big mouth ruined everything. Don't blame me. Rebecca snapped. You were the one who tried to outsmart a billionaire. Nathan stood up, fists clenched. He destroyed my career. And Melissa, I'm going to make her regret being born. Rebecca's eyes lit up. We'll take everything from her. Her baby, her job, her marriage. How? Rebecca pulled out a phone. I still have access to the backdoor system at Wellspark. You know what we'll do. She whispered her plan. Nathan grinned darkly. Let's finish them. The next day, Melissa received a fake call from a client asking her to present at an urgent meeting. It seemed real, so she prepared slides and walked into the conference room. To her shock, the only people present were Nathan and Rebecca, dressed like regular employees. Surprised? Rebecca asked, stepping forward. We never left. How are you here? Melissa whispered, backing away. You're not the only one who knows how to sneak around, Nathan smirked. Security isn't perfect. Melissa tried to leave, but the doors locked behind her with a click. Nathan held up a small camera. You see this? We're going to record you. Then we'll edit it. Make it look like you cheated on Simon. And send it to every investor Sterling has. Rebecca giggled. You'll lose everything. He'll throw you out. And when he does, we'll be right there to take over. Melissa's eyes widened. Why? Why hate me so much? Rebecca's face twisted with bitterness. Because you were always the loved one. Even poor people liked you. Me. I was the one with money, and still they looked at you. That's not my fault, Melissa whispered. You chose anger. You chose jealousy. Rebecca raised her hand to slap Melissa, but, step away from my wife, came a calm but dangerous voice from the corner. Simon stood there, arms crossed, eyes blazing. Security rushed in behind him. Nathan turned to run, but 2 guards tackled him. Rebecca froze. Simon walked toward her slowly. I gave you both chances. I warned you. Now it's over. No. You think this is over? Rebecca screamed. You haven't seen what I'm capable of. Melissa held her stomach, breathing hard from the stress. Simon pulled her close. It's okay. I'm here. They can't hurt you anymore. Later at Sterling's private legal office, both Nathan and Rebecca sat in cuffs. You're done, the lawyer said. Attempted blackmail, corporate trespassing, harassment, threats, tampering with medical records. You'll face prison. Nathan looked down. I was just trying to win. And you lost everything, the lawyer replied. Rebecca sat silently, her hands shaking. He'll never forgive you, the lawyer added. Back at home, Melissa curled up on the couch. Her heart was heavy. How did it get this bad? She whispered. Simon handed her warm milk. Because some people let darkness take over. But we don't have to. Melissa looked at him. You saved me. He shook his head. No, you saved me. From a life of coldness. From loneliness. They sat in silence. Then Melissa said, There's something I want to do. The next morning, she walked into her father's house. The same house where Rebecca was raised in luxury. And she was left with Aunt Nora in the village. Her father sat in a leather chair reading the news. He looked up surprised. Melissa, you look different. I'm here to say goodbye. He raised an eyebrow. Goodbye. Why? Because you let Rebecca poison herself with pride and hate. And you never stopped her. You watched me struggle. You never said sorry. Her father swallowed. You don't understand. No. You never tried to understand me. He turned away. But I forgive you. Not for you. For me. Back in the city, Rebecca and Nathan were led into a prison van. Rebecca screamed and kicked, her hair messy, her nails broken. This isn't the end. I swear it's not. Nathan stayed quiet, defeated. A few weeks later, Melissa was promoted at Wellspark. No one whispered behind her back anymore. She had earned their respect. And Simon? He stood in the back of the room, clapping with the brightest smile anyone had ever seen. That evening, as the sun set, Melissa stood on the rooftop with Simon. I used to think love was just pretty words, she said. But it's also about fighting for each other. Through pain. Through fear. Simon held her gently. You've given me the greatest gift. A second chance. Melissa placed his hand on her small baby bump. And soon we'll have someone new to fight for. But far away, in the quiet of her prison cell, Rebecca stared at the wall, smiling. You think you've won, sister, she whispered. But I'm not finished yet. It was supposed to be a normal staff meeting at Wellspark. Melissa entered the main hall, holding her notebook and water bottle. She had no idea something big was about to happen. But Nathan did. He stood at the front with a proud smile on his face. Rebecca sat in the back, pretending to type something, her eyes cold and sharp. As more employees filled the room, Nathan cleared his throat and tapped the microphone. Good morning, team, he said with a fake smile. Today's meeting will be different. Melissa frowned. Something felt off. Nathan clicked the first slide on the screen. It showed a blurry image of Simon in a construction outfit. This man, Nathan began, has been pretending to be someone he's not. He used a fake name, fake background, and lied to all of us. Whispers filled the room. But that's Melissa's husband, someone whispered. Nathan continued, raising his voice. Yes. And this woman, Melissa Carter, knew about it. They have been playing the company. Lying, cheating, hiding their true status. It's clear favoritism. Clear manipulation. Melissa stood up, shocked. That's not true. I didn't know anything about. Nathan ignored her. From this moment, I officially recommend that both Simon Grant and Melissa Carter be blacklisted from all WellSpark and Vital Vista branches. Effective immediately. Gasps filled the room. People started murmuring. Melissa looked around. Her face turned pale. This can't be happening. Rebecca smirked in the back, crossing her arms. Suddenly, the glass doors swung open with a loud bang. Everyone turned. A man in a sharp navy blue suit stepped inside. His face calm. His steps slow. His presence filled the room with silence. It was Simon. But not the Simon in jeans and boots. This Simon looked like someone who ruled empires. Melissa gasped. Simon! He stepped up to the stage, walked past Nathan and faced the crowd. Then he spoke into the mic. My name is Simon Grant. But many of you know me as Mr. Frost. Everyone froze. Nathan blinked. What did you say? Simon looked straight at him. I am the founder and CEO of Sterling Industries, owner of WellSpark, and the man you just tried to blacklist. The room exploded into chaos. Mr. Frost? No way. He's the CEO. He's been here this whole time. Nathan's face turned bright red. He tried to speak, but his mouth just opened and closed like a fish. Simon turned back to the room. I've been working silently, watching, testing, and most of all, protecting someone very dear to me. He looked at Melissa. Her eyes were full of tears. Melissa Carter is my wife. She joined this company without knowing who owned it. She earned every bit of her success. With no help, no favors. He pulled out a file. This contains evidence that Nathan and Rebecca created fake documents and spread lies about her. And about me. All to destroy her reputation. He handed it to security. You know what to do. Security guards surrounded Nathan and Rebecca. You can't do this. Nathan shouted. You're ruining my life. Simon raised an eyebrow. You tried to ruin hers. Rebecca screamed. You liar. You used us. You tricked us. Simon faced her calmly. No, you exposed yourselves. You were given chances, and you chose to lie and cheat. Security escorted them out as the crowd watched in silence. Melissa stood frozen. Simon walked toward her slowly. You okay? He asked softly. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because I was afraid. Afraid you'd leave if you knew who I really was. I needed to know you loved me, not my power. Melissa's voice trembled. You still lied to me, Simon. That hurt more than anything. I know, he said. And I'll spend the rest of my life making it right. The room was still. Everyone watched in silence. Then Melissa did something no one expected. She stepped forward and hugged him. Just no more secrets. Ever. Never again, he whispered, holding her tight. Later that day, Sterling's top staff gathered in the main office. News had spread everywhere. Mr. Frost is married. She was one of us. He fired Nathan on the spot? Back at Sterling HQ, Claire walked into Simon's office. Sir, investors are thrilled. Your reveal shocked the market. In a good way. Shares are rising. Simon nodded. Good. But I don't care about numbers right now. He looked out the window, watching the clouds roll by. I only care that Melissa's safe. That she knows the truth. That we're starting fresh. Claire smiled. She's strong. She'll forgive. She already has. That night, Melissa sat by their bedroom window, brushing her hair. Simon came in holding warm tea. I'm sorry again, he said, placing the cup beside her. She looked at him. I believe you. But now, we move forward. Together. He nodded. You, me, and the baby. She touched her stomach gently. He's lucky. He'll grow up knowing love. Not lies. Simon wrapped his arms around her. And I'll protect you both. Always. But somewhere, in the cold dark of a prison cell, Rebecca stared at the wall, a deep hatred in her eyes. He thinks this is over. She thinks she's safe. She grinned bitterly. I'll come back. I swear it. And when I do, they'll both pay. Melissa stared at herself in the bathroom mirror. Her eyes were tired. Her hands trembled. She gently touched her belly. "Are you okay in there?" she whispered. So much had changed in just a few days. Simon's secret was out. He wasn't just her husband. He was Mr. Frost, the billionaire CEO. And while the world was celebrating his big reveal, Melissa's heart still carried pain. Yes, he had protected her. Yes, he had fired the people who hurt her. But the lie, the biggest one, was the one he had lived for so long. Simon knocked on the door softly. "Melissa, I need a minute." He waited. His heart pounded. "She said she forgave you," Claire had told him earlier that day. "But forgiveness doesn't erase the wound. You have to help her heal." So he waited. And after a while, she came out quietly, her face pale. "I'm going to visit Aunt Nora," she said. "Just for a few days." Simon nodded. "Do you want me to come with you?" She shook her head. "I need space. I need to clear my mind." He respected her choice. But deep inside he was scared. Back in Greenwillow, Melissa lay in her childhood bed. The old wooden fan creaked above her. Aunt Nora brought her pap and sat beside her. "You're not eating enough," Aunt Nora said softly. "I'm trying." Aunt Nora looked into her eyes. "You love him. But you're afraid." Melissa nodded. "How can I raise a child in a world of secrets? What if one day he becomes like Simon, hiding things?" Aunt Nora placed a hand on hers. "Then raise him with truth. Teach him better. And let your pain become his wisdom." Melissa's eyes filled with tears. 3 nights later, Melissa was walking back from the market when sharp pain hit her lower stomach. She dropped her basket and clutched her belly. "No, no, please." Passerby rushed to help. "Someone call a car. She's pregnant." At the city hospital, Simon's phone rang. He answered quickly. "Hello. Mr. Grant, your wife is in the ER. Pregnancy complications. You need to come now." Simon dropped everything and ran. At the hospital, he saw Melissa on the bed, eyes closed, machines beeping beside her. Doctors moved fast. Nurses rushed in and out. He froze. "I can't lose her. I can't lose my child." Grandma Judy arrived minutes later, breathing hard from the stairs. "What happened? Is she okay?" Simon's voice cracked. "She collapsed. They're not saying much yet." Grandma Judy grabbed his hand tightly. "Start praying. We're not giving up." Hours passed. Finally the doctor came out. "The baby is safe. But only because she came in time. She needs rest. No more stress. No more emotional pain." Simon exhaled deeply. He walked into the room. Melissa opened her eyes slowly. "You came." "Of course I came. I never left you." She looked at him long and hard. "Simon, you hurt me. I trusted you, and you wore a mask for months. Do you know how scary that is?" He nodded. "I know. And I would do anything to take it back. You lied about everything except your love. And that's the only thing keeping me from walking away." He knelt beside her bed and held her hand. "I can't fix the past. But I can promise you a future full of truth. You, me, and our baby. I will never hide anything again." Tears ran down his cheeks. "Even if you never fully forgive me, I will still spend every day proving I'm worth your love." Melissa cried too. "I want to forgive you. Really do. Because love, real love, forgives. But it doesn't forget. Then let's make better memories. Together," he whispered. A week later, Melissa returned home with Simon. Grandma Judy moved in for a while to help care for her. She kept Melissa laughing with old stories and firm advice. "He may be rich," Grandma Judy said one day, "but he's still a man. And men make mistakes. But you, girl, you hold the power to shape his heart." Melissa smiled. She was healing. Back at Sterling HQ, Simon made changes too. He fired old board members who had supported Nathan. He introduced policies to protect staff from workplace abuse. He started a charity fund in Melissa's name, for women who had been bullied at work or mistreated in relationships. One evening he showed her the proposal. Melissa's eyes softened. "You're doing all this? For me?" "For us," he replied. One sunny morning, Melissa walked into a room filled with soft music and white flowers. Simon was on one knee, holding a new ring. "Will you marry me again? This time with no secrets, no masks. Just us." Melissa looked around, blinking back tears. Grandma Judy stood in the corner, nodding proudly. Melissa placed her hand over her growing belly and smiled. "Yes, but next time. You're planning the wedding, not me." They laughed, held each other and kissed. But far away, in a prison counseling room, Rebecca stared at a photo of Simon and Melissa smiling with a newborn baby in their arms. She laughed bitterly. "She won," she whispered. "But games don't end until I say so." She leaned in and whispered to the mirror. "And I have one last move left." It was a quiet afternoon at Sterling Industries. Simon stood in the factory wing of his newest project, a smart home device center. The machines were humming. The workers were busy. Melissa had come by earlier with Grandma Judy to drop off lunch and check on him. She was glowing, 8 months pregnant, healthy, peaceful. Simon watched her drive away and smiled. "I'm finally at peace," he whispered. But peace was not coming. Not yet. At the prison facility, Rebecca sat across from a quiet, cold-looking woman dressed in black. "Are you sure you want to go through with this?" the woman asked. Rebecca leaned forward. "I want her to suffer. I want him to beg. I want to be the last thing they think of when they cry at night." The woman slid a phone across the table. "There's an opening at the factory. Your friend is already inside. All you have to do is send the signal." Rebecca grinned. Boom! That evening, Melissa sat in bed, flipping through baby name books. Grandma Judy brought her orange juice and kissed her head. "You need to rest more. You've been reading that book like it holds secrets." Melissa laughed. "Well, I want to give our son a name full of strength. He needs it, especially in a world like this." Suddenly she paused. Her heart felt heavy. A cold shiver ran down her spine. Grandma Judy noticed. "What's wrong?" Melissa stood slowly, one hand on her belly. "I don't know. Something feels wrong. Like Simon's in danger." Grandma Judy looked concerned. "That's just worry. He's safe. He told me he's at the factory, finishing some testing." Melissa stared at the window. Her fingers clenched the edge of the crib. "I have to go. I need to check." "You're 8 months pregnant. Please, Grandma. I just know." At that moment in the factory, Simon walked into the power unit room to inspect a report. The workers had cleared the floor early, and that's when he noticed something strange. A man in a uniform he didn't recognize was messing with a large control panel. Simon approached him. "Hey, you're not supposed to be here. Who gave you access to this room?" The man looked up. His face was calm. "Who come?" Simon stepped back slowly. "Answer me." The man smiled. "Rebecca sends her regards." Simon's eyes widened. He ran toward the red emergency button, but the man lunged and pulled a device from his jacket. "Bomb. You die." He cries. "We win." Simon shoved him back and pressed the alarm switch. The sirens wailed. Flashing red lights lit up the room. Meanwhile, Melissa's car screeched to a stop outside the factory. Security was running everywhere. "Ma'am, you can't be here. My husband is inside," she yelled. "Let me through." Suddenly, a loud boom shook the ground. The factory's side wall burst into flames. People screamed. Windows shattered. Melissa dropped to her knees, screaming. "Simon!" Grandma Judy, who had followed close behind, helped her up. "Don't cry yet, girl. He's strong. He's yours. He'll come out." Inside, thick black smoke filled the air. Simon lay on the floor, coughing, blood on his forehead. The man who planted the bomb had disappeared, likely caught in the blast. Simon crawled toward the exit, his body weak, his lungs burning. Every time he blinked, he saw Melissa's face. "You, me, and the baby," he whispered. "I have to live. I have to get back." Then strong arms grabbed him. 2 firemen pulled him out, barely alive. Hours later, Simon opened his eyes in the hospital room. Melissa sat beside him, holding his hand, tears running freely. "You scared me," she said, her voice shaking. "You saved me," he whispered. "You felt it, didn't you?" She nodded. "I don't know how. I just knew something was wrong." He smiled weakly. "Maybe we've been through so much, our hearts are connected now." The police came later that day. They handed Simon and Melissa a report. "We found the prison contact. Rebecca planned the attack. We're transferring her to a high-security mental facility. She won't be able to hurt you again." Melissa closed her eyes. Her heart felt broken. Not from fear but from sadness. "She was my sister once," she whispered. "What happened to her?" Simon said nothing. Some things didn't have answers. The next morning, Melissa asked the nurse for a wheelchair. She went to the hospital prison wing where Rebecca had been brought temporarily. She entered the room quietly. Rebecca sat in a chair, handcuffed, her hair a mess, her lips chapped. She looked up. "You're alive," she sneered. Melissa nodded. "So is Simon. And our baby." Rebecca scoffed. "You came here to show off." Melissa shook her head. "I came to say goodbye. And to tell you, I forgive you." Rebecca blinked in shock. "What?" "I forgive you. Not because you deserve it, but because I need to be free." Rebecca looked away. "Then you're a fool." "Maybe," Melissa said, tears in her eyes. "But I'd rather be a free fool than a bitter prisoner." She stood up and walked away without looking back. A few days later, Simon was discharged from the hospital. Melissa helped him into bed, and Grandma Judy cooked for them every day. Life slowly returned to normal. But deeper than before. Stronger than before. The 3 of them sat on the porch, watching the sun set. Simon placed his hand on her belly. "We survived a war," he whispered. "Now let's build a peaceful world for him," Melissa replied. But across town, in the mental hospital, Rebecca stared out a barred window. Her face was blank, her heart broken. And that night she closed her eyes and never opened them again. 9 months after all the pain, all the battles, and all the secrets, the hospital room was filled with the soft cries of a newborn baby. "He's here," Melissa whispered, exhausted but glowing. "Simon, he's here." Simon stood frozen, staring at the tiny wrinkled face of his son. The nurse gently placed the baby into his arms. "Meet your daddy, little warrior," Melissa whispered. Simon's hands trembled as he held his son. "I don't deserve this," he said, voice thick with emotion. "But I promise I'll protect you. With everything I have." Grandma Judy burst into the room moments later, nearly knocking over a tray of towels. "Is he out? Is he healthy? Let me see my great-grandbaby." She took one look at the baby and gasped. "He's got your nose, Simon." And Melissa's calm eyes. Melissa smiled softly. "He's perfect." They named him Eli Frost Grant. Eli, which means strength and hope. Frost, a nod to Simon's journey. Grant, the name that had once been hidden, now carried with pride. 3 months later, invitations were sent across the country. White envelopes with gold letters. At the top, "Join us for a wedding built on truth, love, and second chances." It was time. Simon and Melissa had been legally married in a quiet registry office long ago. But now it was time to stand before the world and say, "I do" again, this time with no lies between them. The wedding was held in Green Willow Village, Melissa's dream. "The same place I met you," she told Simon. "The same tree. The same field. But now, with everyone we love watching." They built a big white tent beside the mango tree. Flowers lined the path. Lanterns hung from branches. Children ran barefoot on the grass. Everyone from Sterling came. Managers, staff, security, even janitors. She was one of us, they whispered. Now she's the queen of the castle. Even the mayor came and gifted them 5 goats. Village tradition, he said proudly. Symbol of prosperity. Simon stood at the altar in a fitted cream suit. His eyes scanned the path, waiting. Then the music started. Melissa appeared at the top of the small hill, holding baby Eli in her arms. She wore a simple yet stunning white gown, with gold beads woven in her hair. Her smile lit up the whole village. Every step she took was filled with strength. Every breath hope. Simon's eyes filled with tears. "You are the most beautiful thing I've ever seen," he whispered as she reached him. "And you are finally mine," she replied. Grandma Judy officiated the ceremony. She stood with her cane and a huge grin. "I've waited my whole life to see love like this," she said. "Not the rich kind, not the fairy tale kind, but the kind that falls, breaks, heals, and still chooses to stand." The vows were short but strong. "Simon, I lied once because I feared losing love. But now I promise to live only in truth, because love is worth the risk. Melissa, you broke my heart, but you also helped it grow back stronger. I forgive, I choose, and I love you. Forever." They kissed as the crowd cheered, fireworks popped, and goats bleated. At the wedding party, Eli was passed from arm to arm like a precious crown jewel. "He's so calm," people said. "Just like his mother. But with his father's eyes." Simon danced with Melissa under the stars. Their hands locked, their baby asleep in Grandma Judy's arms nearby. Slow song played. The wind blew gently. "We made it," Melissa whispered. "No," Simon said. "We're just beginning." Later that night they sat by the mango tree, watching the lanterns glow. Simon took her hand. "I've built empires, but nothing compares to building a family with you." Melissa leaned into him. "Then let's make our home a palace of peace. No secrets, no battles, just love and truth." He nodded. "Agreed." Meanwhile, at Sterling Industries, new posters lined the lobby. Melissa Grant, Chief Creative Officer. Wife, Mother, Visionary. Underneath was a quote. "Success isn't built on money. It's built on honesty, love, and the courage to begin again." In the nursery at home, baby Eli cooed in his crib. The walls were painted light blue. A tiny crown decal was above his name. Simon stood by the door. Melissa joined him. "He's safe," she said. "So are we," he whispered. "No more enemies. No more games." Rebecca was gone. The storms had passed. Now there was only love. Real love. One built from fire, but standing like gold.